All right, today we are taking a look at the equation for a line and how the y-intercept appears in a graph. Every linear equation that we've looked at so far makes a straight line on a graph, but it also has this form for an equation, y equals mx plus b. And in this equation, y and x, well, those are the points on the graph. M will be the slope, and B is the y-intercept. This makes it pretty easy to create one of these equations if we have the information in a graph. Let's go through a couple of examples. Now first off, let's just look at what is the y-intercept. On a graph, the y-intercept is the point, and it's always 0, a number. We typically use B to represent that number, where the line crosses the y-axis. So right here on a graph, you see this line crosses the y-axis at 0, -1. So we say the y-intercept is -1. So if I look at this graph right here, could I find the y-intercept? Well, yeah. Find the y-axis, find where it crosses, and it looks like this is the point 0, and it's down 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 0, -4. So the y-intercept is -4. Now, could I find the slope? Well, yeah, we've done slope before. You find 2 points, and let's just say I want to do this one and that one. Doesn't matter which two I pick. I'm going to talk about rise and run. Well, it looks like it goes up 2, so the rise is 2. It looks like it goes over 1, so the run is 1. 2 divided by 1 gives me a slope of 2. With this information, I can fill in the equation. It's y equals mx plus b. Instead of m, I'm going to write the slope, 2. And instead of b, I'm going to write the y-intercept, which is -4. So my equation for this line is y equals 2x plus -4, or some people write it as y equals 2x minus 4. Either way, works out, and it tells you exactly what's going on in this equation. It tells me it's rising 2 and running 1 by the slope, and it tells me it crosses the y-intercept, crosses that y-axis that has a y-intercept of -4. Let's look at a couple more. Now you can pause the video, try it on your own. Now that you're back, let's look at it. Let's start with the slope this time. Doesn't matter which one we start with. Find 2 points. Let's do rise and run. Looks like it's going to go down 2 over 4. So if I'm talking about the rise is -2, and the run is 4. -2 over 4 reduces to -1/2 for my slope. And I can fill that straight into the equation. Next up, y-intercept. So where does it cross the y-axis? Right there. Well, what are the coordinates there? Let's look. It looks like it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my y-intercept is 6. And I can fill that straight into the equation. Now I have my equation, y equals -1/2x plus 6, and I instantly know what's going on in the graph. It's going down 1 over 2 for that slope, and it crosses at 6. Let's look at a few more. Same deal, pause the video, give it a shot, come back when you're ready. Now for this one, pick 2 points. I'll pick these 2 over here. It looks like it's going to go up 1 over 3. So that rise and run, the rise is 1, the run is 3. My slope is 1/3. I can fill that straight into my equation. Next up is the y-intercept, this point where it crosses. And if I'm going to look at that, it's 0, -2. So my equation is y equals 1/3 x plus -2, or some people would write it y equals 1/3 x minus 2. Either way, you'll notice there's a -2 at the end. That tells me it crosses at this point 0, -2. Same deal. Pause the video. Come back when you're ready. We'll start with the slope again. This one is going down 4 over 1. The rise is down 4. The run is 1. So the slope is -4 divided by 1, or -4. The y-intercept is right there. Looks like this is another one that's going to cross at 0, -2. I can fill this information into my equation. Y equals -4x plus -2. Or I could write it as y equals -4x minus 2. Now look at this one. It crosses at 0, -2, and it has a pretty steep downward slope. The one before it had a shallow upward slope. But if I flip between these two, you'll see they both share that y-intercept. No matter what the slope is, the fact that these equations end with a -2 shows that they're going to cross the y-axis at the same point. Last one we're going to look at like this. It's going to look like this line. Horizontal. Well, what's the slope of a horizontal line? We've talked about it before, but it's a rise of 0 and a run of 3 if I go between these 2 points right here. That gives me a slope of 0x. It does have a y-intercept though. The y-intercept's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 5. So the y-intercept's 5. Nobody ever writes this as y equals 0x plus 5 because 0 times anything is 0. It's not going to do anything. So a lot of times it'll get summarized as just y equals 5. But you know there's 0 x's there, so the slope is in there. We just can't see it. So the equation of this line is y equals 5 because it has that slope of 0. Now we're going to take a couple minutes and look at it from a different direction. And that's, how do we make a graph if we have an equation? Well, option 1 is something we've done before. Make a table and then just graph the points you get. So I could make up some x values, plug in -1, 3 times -1 is -3, plus 5 is 2. Okay, plug in 0. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 5 is 5. Plug in 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 5 is 8. Then on a graph, I could sit there and say this goes here, here, and here. Make the dots and connect them. That's an option. But there's a second option, and it's usually much quicker. We identify the slope and the y-intercept. We put the y-intercept on the graph. Then we use the slope, the rise over run, to count on the graph. Let me show you what I mean. Look at this equation, y equals 2x minus 4. Let's start talking about this minus 4. That is the y-intercept. What's that tell us? It tells us that this graph is going to cross the y-axis at 0, -4. Well, that right there is 0, -4. Okay. What else do we know? Well, I know the slope. It's 2. If I was going to write that as rise and run, what fraction gives me an answer of 2? 2 over 1. So I have a rise of 2 and a run of 1. So from this y-intercept, rise 2, run 1. And I can keep going. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. And you'll see I can make a line right through those points. That's it. My equation is graphed. Let's look at another one. Now, You can pause the video, try it on your own, or just follow along. Let's start by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. Slope is 1/2, and the y-intercept is +3. Well, what's this +3 y-intercept mean? It means that it's going to cross at 0, 1, 2, 3. There's my point. Now, when I look at this slope, I need a rise and a run. My slope's 1/2. It's perfectly set up for rise and run. The rise is 1. The run is 2. So from this y-intercept, from a point I know for sure, I go up 1 over 2. And I can keep going. Up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. Once I have a couple of them, make a straight line all the way through, continue the pattern. There's my equation, and that's the graph it makes. We got a few more we can try, like this one. Y equals -2/3 x plus 2. Well, we start it the same way we always have. -2/3 is the slope. We identify the slope, and we identify the y-intercept is +2. Well, this y-intercept of +2 means it crosses at 0, 2. This slope of -2/3. As a rise and a run, that means it's going to go down 2 for the rise, over 3 for the run. So starting at the y-intercept, that's what I do. Down 2, over 3. Down 2, over 3. Down 2, over 3. I get a nice row of lines, or dots, to help me form this line. And there we are. Let's look at another. Pause the video, try it on your own, come back when you're ready. And same as before, identify the slope and the y-intercept. All right, slope is -1/4, y-intercept is -2. Well, let's start with this y-intercept. The -2 y-intercept means it crosses at 0, -2. That's a point I know. From there, what's it going to do? Well, rise and run. Looks like -1 is my rise and 4 is my run. So from this point, I know I'm going to drop 1, go over 4. Remember, we're always going to the right when we're going over, just like when we read. Down 1, over 4. Once I have a couple points, connect it up, and there's my line. There we go. That looks a little better. Last one. Y equals 7. Okay. Well, that's strange. I mean, I have a regular number, so that's probably the y-intercept. But I don't have a slope. Well, if you think back to a few minutes ago, we've seen equations that don't have a slope. The slope is missing because what it is it's really a 0x. So your slope is 0. When I do this one, and I put this y-intercept on my graph, just like normal, it does most of the work for me. Since the slope is 0, it's not going to change. It's just going to be a horizontal line. Thanks for following along with the video. I hope that gave you some help on this concept. We're going to be working on it for a couple days. Good luck, everybody. I will talk to you later.